and steal this. Daytona International Speedway President Chip Wile, Daytona 500 week just down the road, of course, in Daytona. Daytona 500 is the GOAT of auto racing.
Better believe it.
So Austin Lane just asked me, Chip, said, what am I the GOAT at? I can't come up with an answer. If you
have to be good at something. What are you the best at?
They just said being late, so that might be right on
in
terms of that. I was thinking maybe throwing batting practice, but my kid's even better than that at me, and I'm terrible at softball for my daughter at it. So I have to think a little bit more. This one was just thrown on me. So we'll do the same to you. Are you the GOAT at anything, Chip?
Whew. I don't know if I'm good at anything. I mean, yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, that's tough. And I wonder if Tom Brady walks around thinking he's the greatest of all time. Like other people deem you that, right?
True.
Like,
yeah.
It's like Jimmie Johnson. Like people call him the GOAT, but he doesn't walk around. He's like, guess what, boys? I'm the greatest it's ever driven. I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting question. And I do wonder if Tom Brady thinks of him that way. He's like, hey, this is just my job. I'm good at my job. Like you're good at your job. But I will say this. In fact, I was in Tampa last year on the radio right after they announced Brady was coming to the Bucs, and I even said there's no way one guy can lead a team to the Super Bowl like that. And I recognize they had a different dynamic, but he truly, it wasn't just his ability on the field, it's his leadership. It's all the things that are intangible that he brought to the Buccaneers. He made that team believe they could win. And that's the sign of a true leader, right? And he changed the entire dynamic of that football team just by showing up for practice.
Yeah, I think you're right. He did. And is there that guy in auto racing, by the way, that you've been around? I mean, is there a guy in the sport of NASCAR that you would, we can obviously debate, who's the greatest driver of all time, but is there that glue almost guy that just changes everything by walking in the door that people in NASCAR would say?
I think Jimmie Johnson definitely played that role, and he changed the game for us, right? He drove fitness into the sport. The things, the intangibles out of the race car, he certainly brought to our sport that really made everybody better. And that's what I think why people call him the GOAT is because he didn't just make himself better, he made the sport better. And, with him going away, I think, you got a bunch of guys that are certainly willing to step up and be leaders. It's hard to deny 7 championships and 80-plus race wins. I think Kevin Harvick kind of has filled that role. It's going to be interesting to see. And, Michael Jordan has joined the ranks as a NASCAR team owner. It'll be interesting to see the dynamic that he plays on the ownership side because he's not just a figurehead. I mean, he's been very involved in the day-to-day operation of his race team. And, he everything he does, he excels at. So it'll be interesting to see how he makes our sport better, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Jimmie Johnson, too, in the same ilk as Tom Brady, because both of them are bringing fitness and that kind of discipline, even at their age, right to the sport. I mean, that's what Brady is still playing at 43 years old. Chip Wile, president of Daytona International Speedway with us. Got the Clash tonight, got a week of racing, Speed Weeks, Daytona 500 Sunday. You can see it locally right here on Fox 30. I want to piggyback on what you just said. Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin team up. Michael Jordan, we said this yesterday on the show, actually. Randy Moss, he owned a truck in the Truck Series, and I remember seeing him down there. I was like, okay, he's kind of active in this. We know Brad Daugherty and the role he's played in NASCAR, going over from the NBA to NASCAR, and he's very active. But you just hinted at something that I didn't think we would label it this way. I thought he would be more of a figurehead, Michael Jordan. So you think we'll see him around the track? He'll be hands-on?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is involved. In fact, I was with Bubba Wallace on Sunday. We went to lunch, and we were talking about it. And he is very involved in how they're presenting the team, and how they're presenting every aspect of the team, not just on the racetrack, but how they're presenting it on social media, how they're presenting it to the race fans. And so it truly is his race team. And again, I underestimated the effect immediately he would have on our sport. And as an example, last week I took the pace car and the Harley J. Earl Trophy to a number of elementary schools here in town. And there was a number of kindergartners who were wearing Michael Jordan sweatshirts, Air Jordan sweatshirts on, and they knew that he was in the sport. They knew the driver of the 23 car, Bubba Wallace.
Wow.
They've never been to the racetrack. I asked.
Wow.
I said, have you ever been to the racetrack? Never been. So it's amazing to see the reach that he's already had with a different demographic for NASCAR, and I think that's going to make us all better. Again, Jimmie Johnson made us all better. Michael Jordan is going to make us all better in some capacity, and so that's what we want out of our sport. The NBA, if you look at after Michael Jordan left, it kind of went through a lull, and then LeBron James came through, and he is continuing to have such an inherent impact on the NBA outside of the basketball court. And that's what we want. The last time we've really seen any of that in our sport is when Dale Earnhardt Jr. Was a driver. And it wasn't because he was the best race car driver. It's because he had the name, he had the look, he had the feel, and he also, Budweiser took him to places we would never go. They put him in front of audiences that we would never see. And all of that combined really helped push our sport forward. And that's what we need. Our sport's had a tremendous 12-month period. Tremendous. You look at where we're the first sport back with live content at Darlington Raceway. First sport to figure out how to get back racing, right, or get back to playing. First sport back with live attendance. We tackled some social justice issues. We were the first sport to really engage a different audience with esports when everybody was at home. All of those things really have helped elevate our sport, and I would argue we beat every other sport in 2020. And I think we're seeing that momentum as we go into the 2021 campaign.
Chip, you mentioned, reaching those audiences that maybe have never been tapped before. And I actually want to talk about Friday night. I want to talk about the Camping World Truck Series because there's a young girl by the name of Hailie Deegan. Now, the only reason why I know who Hailie Deegan is, I used to watch her father, at the X Games and Brian Deegan. Now, needless to say, I feel old as all heck. But, do you think that Hailie Deegan can be that next? Because I remember what Danica Patrick meant to the sport of racing, right? And she kind of brought new eyeballs there. But I feel like now, in the time of social media and all this stuff, and Hailie Deegan being very active in that kind of thing, is can Hailie Deegan be the star? Can she kind of usher in a new era of truck racing fans right now?
100%. And I think we've already seen the impact of Hailie Deegan without even being in one of the top 3 series. And I've gotten to know Hailie over the last couple of years. I know her dad. And I believe that she's got everything, including the skills behind the wheel, to be our next superstar. She has the intangibles, but she also has the raw talent. And she's setting herself up with Ford to get to make sure she's getting the right opportunities. Until you put somebody behind the wheel of a machine, you don't know what they truly can do. But everything she's gotten in so far, she's excelled in. So this will be a big test this year to see where she can go. But to your point, she definitely has the opportunity to help elevate her brand and our sport at the same time.
Chip Wile, President, Daytona International Speedway, with us on Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. By the way, a little programming note, Stuart Weber from Action Sports Shacks down in Daytona tonight for The Clash. You'll see him on CBS 47 and Fox 30 all night long. The Clash is tonight. It's a road course race. You obviously had the road course race last year, will again this year. Chip, why I asked Stuart, who knows a lot more about this than I do, quite frankly, but I asked him, so why this love toward the road courses all of a sudden for the casual NASCAR fan, not just for Daytona, but in general, it seems like there are more of them. Why is that?
Well, we've seen that our fans love road course racing. It's a different style of racing than fans are used to, and we actually announced the Busch Clash on the road course about a year ago, so before the pandemic. Really want to differentiate this race from the rest of the events during Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health. We wanted it to be its own event, and a lot of these drivers, I would say they weren't excited about racing in the Busch Clash, but it just was a race on our super speedway, and I think it really gives our fans a different perspective. It shows the raw talent of these race car drivers. And then the pandemic hit last year, and because Watkins Glen International, our sister track in New York, couldn't host an event because of the protocols, we had the opportunity to get a preview of tonight in August. And I thought it was a fantastic event. Chase Elliott got to victory lane, and they put on a heck of a show. So I think it's truly this was already planned, but it certainly gives these drivers a leg up because it was announced, a month ago now that after the Daytona 500 checker flag waves and we crowned the 2021 Daytona 500 champion, most of these drivers are staying in town because we're racing again next weekend on our famed road course. Friday night with the Camping World Truck Series, Saturday with the Xfinity Series, and then Sunday with the NASCAR Cup Series. So the drivers tonight that are in the field are going to get a leg up on the rest of the competition because they're going to get to see in race conditions what these cars will do. And I think it'll certainly help them as they gear up for next weekend's triple header.
Yeah, I think it's terrific that you guys have adapted to it and what the fans want, what the drivers want, and it's been a big hit. That's awesome. Obviously, Daytona 500 coming up on Sunday. I got to ask you, I'd be remiss if I didn't. 20 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Sr., of course. Are you guys doing anything to remember Dale? How much of an influence does he still have on the sport? We just talked about Dale Jr., of course, and his impact. 20 years later, Dale Earnhardt Sr., what does he mean?
I mean, his presence is still felt. I think Dale Earnhardt was truly the greatest race car driver to ever climb behind the wheel of a stock car, and his legacy at Daytona has been well documented. We are going to do a little special tribute on Sunday for the race fans that are here. And it hadn't been announced yet, but we are going to recognize him during the event. And, I never had the opportunity to meet Dale Earnhardt. It's one thing I wish I could have done just because I'm very close with his son. Dale's a really dear friend of mine, and I see the man he's become. And you don't do that because you weren't brought up well. And I've heard stories. Actually, Dale Earnhardt was sponsored by my uncle's company back in the day, and my uncle knew him well. They spent a lot of time hunting together, and I just love to ask questions about him because his impact will be felt for decades. And it's not just about what he did behind the wheel of the race car. He helped, again, like we've talked about, build the NASCAR brand. And I think he's synonymous with the Cup Series, with NASCAR. People, even if they don't follow it, know Dale Earnhardt. And, people like him don't come along there. So his legacy will live on for forever. I do believe that. Such a passionate fan base, and I think it certainly will. There'll be a very fitting tribute to him on Sunday as we get ready for the Great American Race.
Chip, awesome stuff. Love having you on, and love Daytona week. Here it comes. Daytona 500 on Sunday starts tonight with the Clash. Once again, Action Sports Shacks will be down there all week long. And Chip, you're the GOAT at something. We're going to figure it out, but you're the GOAT at something.
Listen, I'll figure it out. I'll call you back.
Thanks, man. Enjoy the week. Have a great week.
Guys, thank you.
All right.